Hello and welcome to a very generalized view on the Colorado timing system setup. This is part one of our series about the computer setup, where we cover some very basic things that you'll see here in a second. This video is specifically meant for the Deaconess Aquatic Center, however it can probably be used for pretty much any timing system facility as long as you're in that right range. So some things will be a bit specific like wiring, but in terms it is pretty generalizable. So hi, my name is Jack. I am the Deaconess Aquatic Center Equipment Operations Team Lead, and we are based in Evansville, Indiana at the Deaconess Aquatic Center. So without further ado, in this video, we'll be covering how to power up the Gen 7, and the display link power up, and some basic concepts in that, including at our facilities specific power up with the national anthem, and then a very generalized look at team scores, names, results, Hy-Tek Power Up, and then how to connect the Gen 7 computer and how it all works. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and take you behind the scenes and show you the wiring at our facility. Hello, I'm coming to you from our meet manager room. To start off, this is our primary meet management table. On the right side, we have our Hy-Tek computer. Middle, we have our display link remote desktop computer. And the far left, we have our Gen 7 timing computer. This is all pretty straightforward. Whenever you enter your facility, it should be well wired. Important to know for your Hy-Tek computer, you're going to want Ethernet on it. You're going to want it to have at least a dock. We use a dock. You might have enough USB ports. In our dock, we're going to have a connection to our Gen 7 computer and a connection to our scoreboard. This side, we have a connection to our printer for the on-deck printing. To come down to the back side of this all of our Ethernet cables come into one Ethernet port where we can use one Ethernet center that will run a wire all the way to the Ethernet cable at the wall, which we'll show when we get out there. As well as we have a power strip that runs all of the connections for this all so it can stay powered. You also have your little USB Connect device down here that you use for the Gen 7 computer. We have it hidden away nicely. Moving further on down this side, your computer that's doing remote display link only needs to be connected to the Ethernet and needs power. That's all it needs. Moving over here to our Gen 7 timing computer, we have another dock where we just have its mouse and the connection to the Hy-Tek computer established. Now I'll show you further what these screens all look like when we get out on deck and how to roll that all out. So go one step over here. This is our display link computer. The password for it at our facilities varies, but you may have a different one. For us, we simply have your desktop right here that will always be on. And all you're going to do is you're just going to sign in. Make sure you turn both the boards on. Very important step, you have to wait for the logo to fire off. And importantly, you want to make sure you have the right input for both boards. At our facility, it's DVI23 is the input that you use for everything for the scoreboards. Once that happens, you're going to get a little message. Stuff's going to change up on your desktop. That's how you know you're good to open display link here. You're just going to click it once, and it will open. The location it may vary on your computer, and I'll show that again in the display link section of this video. The final step is you have to have your Gen 7 timer. We have a serial model, meaning that we have the wall plate connections that run behind everything in our fancy wall plates. More on this later, in a later date when we talk about the Gen 7 timer, but that is all here. Ethernet connection, wall plate connection, and powers all this thing needs. Everything else can be handled in the wall plate. Up here you have your scoreboard communication device. Not too much to it. Most of the stuff you're going to have to touch the wiring for once it's initially set up by Colorado Timing. That takes us to what we have to do here. And one last step is to press this little button, watch for it to fire. It's going to start pulsing. That's going to go slowly while it's connected to the Ethernet. And once it starts pulsing, you're ready to go. So without further ado, we're going to roll this table out onto deck. Very simple here to roll the table out on deck. All you're going to do is you're first going to grab this power cable. You're going to unplug it. That means your table's good to go. Then you apply the black Ethernet cable, unplug that, and it's good to go. Once that is done, you're all good. Just wrap up all three cables that we have lying around here and take them out on deck. And I'll show you what it looks like. Now that your table is out on deck, you have two options of where it can go. You have two Gen 7 wall plates at our facility. At your facility may differ. You're going to put it at the start end where you can see the lanes you're about to be racing. I'm currently on the north pool of our facility, We also have a south pool. Over there is another wall plate that is visible that you can use. I'll now cut to a quick little clip of that you can look at. Down here is the same thing. You still have your Gen 7 wall plate, all the ports. You have your power and your Ethernet. Very important to have all these connections that you're going to be using. This 7 also has the Gen 7 timer or diving function, as is our diving side of the pool. You're going to want always put your table on the side that you have a start at or that you're racing on. In a 2-pool meet, you'll have 2 tables. Back to our facility here, we're going to quickly do a few things. First off, you're going to get your extension cord. You may just have one power cord or whatnot. You're going to run it through this cable behind your desk and plug it in. This is just for a basic meet. You're only going to need one table, nothing too fancy. After that, you're going to grab a secondary cord. This is your Ethernet cord. This is what's going to be powering the network connection of all the computers on your desk as well as your printer. You plug it in to your Ethernet ports here. You'll hear satisfying clicks to know it's done. The last cable is our Hy-Tek connection cable. This cable allows for communication from on deck to the Hy-Tek computer system in the scoreboards. You're going to take this cord to the Gen 7 wall plate and plug it in to this middle slot. Your slot may be in a different plot, if it will look like this, and you just plug your cord right in. When you hear a satisfying click, it is now in. At a swim meet, you will want to pull all these extra cords and the loose ends of them all the way back to the scoreboard side of the room, as in like with the wall plate. You will then take some form of taping and tape this section down as to avoid tripping hazards at a swim meet. The next step is to open all computers and then proceed with the instructions given. This may differ for your facility, and I will show an example of each. Hello and welcome to the Gen 7 timing computer part of this video series. We are first going to open the Gen 7 timing swimming operational definition. Once you open this, you're going to receive an option to collect and select your timer. In our case, our timer's IP address will be, once it shows up, I believe it is 186 something. Yes, or 192.168.6184. Should pop up right away. If you just turn on your timer, it might take a minute. You might have to restart this and redo this process. Then you're going to click OK. Simultaneous pool racing. You're just going to leave this alone if you're running one pool meet. We have a further video describing how to do it if you're doing a 2-pool meet, and that we go into much more detail on how all these timing systems work, how they do it, and why they work. So just hit pool 1, hit OK, and move forward. Currently I already have a session going, but I'm going to hit select different for the purpose of this demonstration. You can either resume a meet or hit new meet. In my case, I'm going to hit new meet. I'm going to type in demo 1-3. That's just my meet name. You'll put in your meet date and all that. If you're using an existing session, and you will just resume a meet. For here, session, you'll have to create a new one if you click new meet. You're just going to fill out a tag for it, put the session number that it should be identified for, and that will go back to your Hy-Tek computer on that side. Then you're going to put your start time, roughly, it doesn't have to be exact, and then your default events you can add. Then timing hardware. Big deal here. Make sure it's already been plugged in before you turn on the Gen 7 timer. Otherwise, it will not appear here. So Gen 7 will have to be rebooted. In our case, we're using our south pool, which is our 25-yard/meter deep deck. If you do not have your options here, contact Colorado Timing. They will send you a file to reconfigure, and that's how most of this stuff is. For simultaneous pool racing 2, you have to request it from Colorado Timing. You will then be brought up to this screen where you have to await the session information from... Don't ahead of myself there. Anyway, you'll come right to this point where you can just click on the lanes you'll be using, describe your lane mappings. In my case, my pool will always be the same as it already has been set up. You can also manually add events from this point, or you can await the Gen 7 Hy-Tek computer to send over your events. Now, I know I'm off frame real quick. I just want to upload these events real quick so you can see what that looks like. When the events are downloaded, it's a very brief process actually. The computer will just send them right over. You'll get a little message just like this where it'll say, a new sequence has been uploaded from Meet Manager software. You just go click OK. You have all your lanes now. Everything is good for you to control. You can select your events and go all forward. Next, we're going to go into diagnostics, which we'll have a further video describing just for diagnostic when we're putting the pool together. Hopefully you can use this, and we'll be moving on now to Hy-Tek. Hello and welcome to the Hy-Tek computer. The first thing you want to do on here is navigate to the Swim Meet Manager 8.0 or your current version. You then want to double click and open. In my case, I already have it running, so I'm going to reopen it. From here, we will be connecting and making sure our timer is established with a good connection. So make sure you have your Meet open, in which you have already done, where you've already connected to this computer. You're going to click Run, wait for that to render in. You will then hit Interfaces. In our case, our main timer, which is the timer we only have, is this one. To find out more, you're going to click Open/Close Serial Ports. This typically must be done at the start of every meet. To identify the serial port that is being used, that Windows has assigned this device, as Windows assigns serial ports, COM ports, in order for it to keep track of these different ports and where information is going. You're going to open Device Manager. Device Manager. You then go down to Ports and LPT. You will see two things here depending on how many you have plugged in. My best suggestion is unplug whatever you're plugging in, then replug it in. That's generally a good rule of thumb. It really gets you what you need done. In my case, I have to double check what I'm unplugging and replugging, and you probably will too. So in my case, I just unplugged our scoreboard. So now I know that when I plug my scoreboard back in, whatever COM port I'm given is the scoreboard I is using. So here, I have just now learned that my scoreboard, wherever that may have just gone, is COM 4, whereas my timer is COM 3. Process of elimination is all you need. Enter a 0 to close the port. Then click OK. If it says error, make sure that you double check your timer ports. You may have an issue where your COM port system has disconnected. In this case, just hit OK. Interfaces again. Mine's even having some little issues right now. You just have to make sure your stuff are all connected. Then you're just going to go back up to the interfaces, do the same thing again, and hope that works. So this time I know that it's 3. We'll click OK. Communications pass right away. If that does not happen, you know your timer's not connected. Once that's done, you hit OK. Open the specific session you would like to be using. In my case, I'm using a previously completed session. However, this does not matter. I then hit Interfaces, and then hit Download Events to CTS Timer. When I have done that, it'll go through a process. I'll first hit Download, Event Sequence, hit OK. Writing labels will begin, and just let it go to the default event sequence. Once that is done, you'll send it to your timer. Your timer will give you a message to accept it, and that's all shown in the Gen 7 timing part of this video. Thank you for watching this part. The next part we'll be covering is our display. So welcome to the DisplayLink Plus portion of today's video, where we're going to be focusing on how to remotely control DisplayLink Plus, as well as go over quickly the national anthem, briefly, team scores, briefly results, briefly all that. So first off, if we're going to be using this remotely on deck, your facility may have a different system, but we use SplashTop Business. So you'll open up SplashTop Business, so it'll automatically log you in. Scoreboard 2024 is our scoreboard's remote desktop connection. This is morely for Deacon's Block Center at this point. Then you'll be remotely tapped in. Now it's more the generalized point, where you can hit DisplayLink Plus after your boards have already been turned on, and it will arm itself and pull up DisplayLink Plus. Our basic templates here at Deacon's Block Center are scored in EVSC 24-25, and then in general. We have a 10-line pool, which we will always go on our left board, and then our welcome that will always go on our right board. Now, I have to put in a note specifically for this facility, is that if you are at a great meet, they're going to want you to use their great TPL, and then sponsors for great on the left board. Either that or they'll have a meet welcome at some point as well, but we don't need to worry about that too much here. That's more of a specific training there. So that's the very basic amount of what you have to do. To get names from Hy-Tek, you have to make sure Hy-Tek is held on this computer. That would be bad news bears if it wasn't. And now Hy-Tek is on. So you're just going to go to swimming. Pretty basic right here. Just request entire meet. It's going to send a request to Hy-Tek to get the entire meet all the events, the record data in Hy-Tek, everything, very quickly and discreetly. And this will not mess up anything the Hy-Tek operator is doing as long as you have your Hy-Tek cable plugged in properly. Once that is done, I'm going to go ahead and talk a bit about the results tab. We have a 16 and 8 lane, or 16 and 8. This 16 one is specifically for when you have a prelim session, because you can put your A finalist and B finalist where it is. Here's your notification you'll get when it's done importing stuff, because I'll tell you what you imported. What was I say? Yes, this is more of our prelims one, whereas 8 list is more of our finals one, so you get your times after everyone's done swimming and all that such. So, as you can see up here, this is our live results for prelims, which it's really like talking to each other. It would be what that many people are. Anyway, put up an 8 lane version. This is important. You're going to go to results. This part's very important. If you're doing a prelims finals meet, make sure you request your prelims version for whenever you're in finals, because it's about to show you. I just realized it's not quite nice, but there is a difference. Importantly, is what I'm trying to get across. As finals compared to prelims, it will not be the same. And so just make sure you're getting your requests right. Yeah, there you see it. Requests are different across. So just be careful there. Make sure you know what event you're requesting, and you can use this little button right here, request, and it'll populate the results into here. And then lastly, we have our team scores functions, which here we are. Here's a team scores template. You're going to go into team scores, and then you can individually request what it's at each event, as well as set up to automatically request. And you use this little button here to select the individual event with all refreshes right here, and it'll automatically do it after each event's been scored by the admin table and they've officiated the results. I really like that. I think it's much easier and you don't have to be over here as much requesting. Now you can also, once the meet's over, hit request all, and it'll automatically do that once the meet's over, and then it'll pop up that. It'll tell you the full team scores, the end of the meet, and how everything went. So that's been a very brief description of team scores, results, names, all of that. Now, one bit of facility-specific information I'm going to cover here is the National Anthem at Deaconess Aquatic Center. So, first off, I am going to mute this computer. Ignore this process right now. This is solely me muting it, so we don't have a nasty anthem sounding for everyone in the building. So first, we're always going to put our flag on the right board, let it start playing, and then during that, we want to switch to the national anthem on our left board. While that's playing, I'll let you just watch it as it plays out here. We're just going to carefully wait. At this time would be a good time, in my opinion, to put your results in. Let that all happen. But you do have to note here that you have to upload the swim lanes template right away, otherwise it's just going to start looping this national anthem, and nobody wants that. So you're going to be, during this time, I would suggest getting whatever you're going to put on that right board ready, because you're going to want to be snippety-snip. As soon as that video is over, you're going to want to be uploading it. You can safely pull it up here, and then you just wait. And at a later point, I will be making a video solely on how to build a template, how they work, how all the data in them is shared across devices, how to put records on them, all the fun data that we all know we want. And so, right now, if you ever were wondering how you add a video, you just click add here, you browse your desktop. The one limit it does have is it has to be either a WMV or an AVI video source. Alright, here we are towards the end of the national anthem now, and we're watching it's going into the final fading moments. Now you want to be waiting, and you're going to place it down right when the screen turns black. So I currently have it picked up in my cursor, holding down left click. As soon as it goes black, I'm going to let go. So it's right there, let go, back to normal. Then here, I'm going to do the same thing. I can take my time here because there's no problem with the flag because it has no audio. Anyways, that is the very basics you need to know about this for it to work properly. If you have any questions, I would say leave it down below. I believe that's everything I need to cover for generalized information. I might have one more bit I'll add after this, but yeah, well, I'll be adding how to add another set of tables and connect everything appropriately at Deaconess Aquatic Center. At this time, I'll now be explaining how we add a second table with more computers for our timing system. First, we'll grab our table at the Deaconess Aquatic Center and we'll unplug it from the Ethernet on the wall and from the power. Once that is done, we'll roll this table out and plug it up outside. So now that we've got our second table out here, we have a similar wiring process going on here. It has its own Ethernet station, its own additional Gen 7 USB Connect device in case we are running a two-pool meet, and then we have our own Ethernet and power cord. Simple thing, same as earlier. You want to take your Ethernet, put it through the hole, take your power, shove it through too. You want to go around to the other side, same process as before. It's a bit repetitive. Plug Ethernet into Ethernet. Woo. There we go. And then power into power. You're taking all the slack down this side with you. Plug it in, and then you're all good to go. This is just another Hy-Tek computer that's going to be operated over Ethernet, and then another Hy-Tek computer in case you're at that big of a swim meet where you need to. Or in other words, this is another DisplayLink computer, whatever you need for your current swim meet you're running at the Deaconess Aquatic Facility. Thank you for watching. We have now covered all the material you see on the screen. Please look out for the next video, which will be coming soon, where we will be discussing how to put the equipment in the water, and then the video after that will be discussing the diagnostic procedures. Again, thank you for watching. If you appreciate this, please just leave a comment down below if you have any questions. I will get back to them quickly, and thank you for watching.